Hi, this is Bob Pockrass, and welcome to a SceneDaily.com roundtable. I'm here with Jeff Owens and Kris Johnson, and I was at Michael Waltrip Racing yesterday, and it was a big announcement. It's kind of like two big announcements. The first announcement was that Michael Waltrip Racing is kind of retired from full-time driving and is going to become a part-time driver. Maybe 4 races next year, maybe 6, maybe 8, maybe 10. But what we know, not 36. The guy who will be driving 36 races for them is Martin Truex Jr. But first, what do you think about Michael deciding to say, enough's enough, and I'm not going to race every week next year?
Well, I think it's probably time. I know that was a tough situation for Michael, but his value over the past few years has been as a team owner and as sort of an off-track personality. I mean, he can service a sponsor better off the racetrack than he can on the track, because let's face it, and he'd be the first one to admit, he's struggled for quite a few years now. And you know, he had some success about 10 years ago or so at Earnhardt Incorporated, but he's, you know, prior to that and after that, he's really struggled. So I think it's probably time for him to step out of the race car, and I think it's time for him to devote more focus and full attention to being a team owner. So I think it was a good move by him.
I'd say maybe his success was 5 years or 6 years ago at DEI. It just seems like it was 10 years ago. But you know, David Rudiman, his teammate, is 14th in points. Marcus Ambrose is 18th in points, and Michael Waltrip, I think, is 33rd or somewhere in the 30s in points. So that probably speaks a lot. What do you think, Kris?
I think it's a good move for both Waltrip and Truex at this point in their respective careers, especially for Truex when you consider that, you know, Bass Pro Shops wasn't on board, no pun intended, for the full season next year, and you've got Napa coming in with a high-profile sponsorship, reportedly 3 years. That's stability. I mean, in this economic landscape, you've got to take the plunge, I think. And I also think for Waltrip, like Jeff said, this is his real ability, I think, is as a team owner. Every year since the debacle in Daytona in 2007, they've picked up a little steam. And he's very good at maintaining sponsor relationships. And I think it's going to be a good match for both guys.
Well, when I first heard about this, the rumor about Truex possibly going to Michael Waltrip Racing, my first thought was, what in the world is he doing? You know, he was supposed to be the hot #1 free agent this year, and we heard speculation that he might go to Hendrick, or he might go to Gibbs, or Stewart Haas, or Richard Childress Racing. And Michael Waltrip Racing right now doesn't compare to any of those organizations. So you ask yourself, you know, what is Truex thinking? But when you look closer at it, I think it makes a lot of sense. First of all, I don't think there's going to be very many opportunities at those other teams. But you look at what Michael Waltrip Racing has done this year. They've shown tremendous improvement. And one thing Truex said makes a tremendous amount of sense to me. He can be the top dog over there. If he would have gone to one of those other organizations, he was probably going to be 3rd, 4th on the depth chart, and probably going to be in the shadow of bigger name drivers, just like he was at DEI with Junior.
That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, though, because Rudiman right now, like you said, 14th in points, 74 points out of the chase. Truex is 24th. I mean, Truex, he's got 1 win in his career, okay? I mean, it could be equal footing over there. We'll have to see how it plays out.
It's funny to think of Truex as a lead man. He's kind of a quiet guy. Yeah. David Rudiman's a quiet guy. Marcus Ambrose, he's kind of quiet, you know.
Well, when you got Michael Waltrip leading the organization, nobody else has much room to talk. Really.
So nobody's going to have to hold up their hand anymore in the drivers' meetings. They're all just going to be able to speak, I guess.
So, but, no, I agree with you. I think they're a good fit. I think they're similar personalities. But I think they're building a good organization there with 2 up-and-coming drivers that have both proven they can win races. And maybe this is a better opportunity for Truex than for him to go to one of the big 4 organizations and sort of get left behind.
Totally agree. And the good thing for him, too, is he has a chance now to build his brand with a big sponsor. You'll see his exposure go way up.
That's true. And I bet a year from now we'll be debating, was it a good move or was it not a good move? We'll have some proof about a year from now.
Right.
Well, we thank you all for joining us today on the SceneDaily.com Roundtable, and please join us again next week.